All right, I don't know what time it is on your clock, but I know what I'm getting ready for. It is time for the Professional CISO Podcast with David Malicoat.
All right, welcome one and all to the Professional CISO Podcast. I'm your host, David Malicoat. This show is an exploration of the topics necessary to professionalize the role of the CISO. So, today we have an interview with a CISO from a large civil construction firm. His roots are in network engineering, firewalls, security management, and executive leadership. But I want to hit those notables. Jamaican by birth, spent his first approximately 20 years of his life on the island. Be interesting to see the cultural side of that. That'd be pretty awesome. And then he's a big Formula One fan, and his favorite driver is Lewis Hamilton. But before we get started, want to do some shout outs. We're here on site at the Secure Miami Conference. We're hosted by Digital Era Group and Florida International University. The theme of this year's conference is Accelerating Tomorrow's Cybersecurity. So everyone's been looking forward to insights, collaboration, and actionable takeaways. I know I have. It's been great to be out here with these folks. It's been pretty fun to be out here at Secure Miami. So now it's time to talk about being a professional CISO. In today's episode, our guest is Edison Humphries. Currently, he's the vice president and CISO at MasTec, again, big civil construction company. Please welcome our guest, Edison Humphries.
Hi.
How are you today?
Glad to be here. Good.
Awesome.
Good. Also want to echo your shout out for Digital Era.
Yes.
I'm a customer.
Oh, excellent.
And they're invaluable to my role.
Love it.
Very, very great company.
Great. Glad to hear that. Always love to hear great feedback when people have great experiences. So happy that they were able to have us down here. So, all right. So love to talk about the human side of this, right? So we all start somewhere, right, Edison? So for us, CISOs, it's usually a long journey, and typically those roots go pretty deep or pretty far back. So can you talk to me back on the island of Jamaica, maybe even? Where did you get your start? Like what started this spark with you, and how does that transfer into becoming a CISO today?
Well, I started off in technology and IT. My first job was in Jamaica as a computer operator.
Really?
I was just messing around with the terminals one day. The vice president of IT walked up behind me. Goes, you like messing with computers? Go downstairs and tell them I want to talk. There was a job opening as a computer operator, and that's how I got my first job.
Love it. Yeah. And so how did that come through? So you had your computer operator that started it, but talk me through the
path. I eventually moved over into the PC world.
Yes.
Foxborough, back in those days, writing applications in Foxborough. Then I moved to the United States, and I started focusing on network administration.
Right.
And then I moved into network engineering, firewall engineering, and then I eventually moved from firewall administrator, the company I was working with at the time. They had an opening for security manager, and they asked me if I wanted to take on the role. I accepted, and here I am.
And so did you find that the change from individual contributor to leader was a challenge for you, or did it kind of come on naturally a little bit?
Yeah, I've always gotten feedback that I have good ideas, and so it felt like a good fit.
Good.
It didn't feel like something I had to struggle to fit in.
Right. It wasn't a fish out of water,
not to me.
Right.
I don't know about those looking.
Understood. So I found that in my career where I was a Unix system administrator, and I was great on the keyboard. I was good on the keyboard, but I wasn't great. I wasn't that awesome technical person that I wanted to be. But then I got put into a leadership position, and it was like, wait a minute, this actually feels pretty comfortable. Like it's one of those.
Yeah, the thing to keep in mind is, normally what makes you a good engineer are not the same things that make you a good manager.
Absolutely.
Luckily, I had two good managers, both in my previous job and my current job, who understood that, and they kind of helped me with my weaker areas. They helped me deal with those and help me stress my stronger areas. And having that kind of support is really important to be successful.
The mentorship side of things, for sure.
Yes.
Are you finding that you're mentoring now today? I'm going to assume so.
Yeah. Yes. You have to.
And you take that seriously and well-structured
Yeah, and when you have people and good people and ambitious people on your team,
Yes.
people who are smart, there's nothing wrong with them if they leave. They're going to want to leave eventually,
Right.
and you can't take it personally. You can't penalize them or stand in their way. You just got to understand that's a natural, normal path for
Absolutely.
for good talent.
You got to give up your selfishness.
Right.
Yeah.
Luckily, we've held on to talent. The current crop of people that we have at MasTec,
Right.
we have a great team. It's the greatest group of people I've ever worked with.
Love it.
And a lot of them have been there for at least 3 years or more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a great team.
And I think that's the hallmark of a great leader, great organization, great culture, and not just top to bottom, but side to side as well. That if you can get that retention and manage that speaks volumes. Because I think I had another guest that said something about it felt like we were a band, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes some people have to leave, and it feels like the band's kind of breaking up.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have it any other way. You wouldn't want to.
The thing that I do, which I don't know how successful it is, but I just try to make it light.
Yes.
We have a serious job. Everybody on the team knows it's a serious job. Everybody on the
Absolutely.
team knows the stakes. If on the way there we can have fun and enjoy ourselves,
Yes.
we try to do that. And that makes you want to come to work.
Right.
More than, oh my God, I might have to deal with
The
this
dread.
again. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So always like to kind of get this one out of the way. We're here. It's the Professional CISO Podcast. What are your views on professionalizing the role? A lot of people, we think about it in terms of, credentialed or whatever. Is that the case? Or is it just more of we have these demands that are being placed on us and much different than what they have been in the past. So where do we go? What do we do? What do we need to do?
The role has to professionalize. There's just no option. I remember when I got hired in this job, I was told, keep it undercover. They don't think we need a
Right.
security manager.
Right.
Now I'm presenting to the board of directors, right?
Yes.
Customers are asking, what are you guys doing with XYZ? So even companies that probably organically don't need a CISO are going to find they need one because customers and stakeholders are asking for one.
Absolutely.
And requiring the things that a CISO brings to the floor. On the other side, you have to look at, for example, what the SEC requirements are. That is really forcing CISOs to be more professional because now, you have to document the steps you took. What I see happening now with auditors, where they're asking about incidents that didn't really directly affected you, but affected, others, and they want you to document how you responded to it.
Right.
Incident response and how you document incident response, how you look at risk, how you treat and manage risk. All those things are getting more and more serious.
Right.
Where interested parties is asking, what are you doing? The role has to become more professional because that's what's being demanded.
Do you feel like there might be a time when our role there's going to be so much that kind of gets gathered underneath? Do you think that it ever becomes a tipping point where it's just not possible to do all of this? Because you mentioned risk, right? And becoming that professional,
Yeah.
the biz. I mean, are we going to have so much under our purview that it becomes
I don't
unable to
know.
perform?
I don't know. I mean, my attitude is with enough money, technology, and resources, you can manage
Right.
almost anything. It's just a matter of the resources you're given. If you don't get resources, then of course you're limited.
Right.
But if the business recognizes that this is important to the business, and you're resourced, with the right team, again, you can't do it without a team.
Absolutely.
And not just your team, but the other teams in the IT department.
Right.
Like at MasTec, we have a great IT department, and the success that we've had is largely due to them. And people coming in on weekends, getting patches in,
Right.
and that's what makes us successful. So you have to think of that as well.
Got it. Love it. All right. So we were talking before this, and I totally agree with you on this aspect, which is our role's kind of solitary, right?
Yeah.
We are very standalone in that. How do you manage that? How do you handle
Well,
that?
It's alone in the sense of you make a decision, and that decision is yours, and you don't know how it's going to come out. You don't know what the final result. You don't know if you've made the right decision.
Right.
You made a decision based on what you know at the time, and you got to stand behind it. Now, it's not lonely in the sense that it's just you. It's a one-man show. It's not.
Right.
But when you make a call, that's you, and you have to be prepared to stand by it.
There's only one name in the A box for the RACI, right?
I get input from everybody in the room.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, you make a call. Even if it's a consensus call, it's still your call, and you're responsible for it if it goes wrong.
Got it. And so taking that a little bit further, how do you make sure that you internally stay kind of right inside yourself or right with yourself, right? From a mental health perspective or from a
Well, I probably shouldn't say this publicly, but I strongly believe in detaching when I go home.
Mm-hmm.
If there's an emergency, there's a way of getting in touch with me, and that channel is open.
Absolutely.
But I'm not into emails. When I'm home, when I'm at work, I try to get things done. When I go home, I have to disconnect.
I don't think that's very controversial. I think actually that's compartmentalization, right? I think
People
we all
want
have
you
to do it.
Emails
Yeah.
24/7. I'm not, if it's something important,
Absolutely.
we have a notification channel
Yes.
that works. Other than that, I'm working hours only.
And I've had that conversation with other CISOs as well, and I think it's pretty common for us. I don't know. I mean, I would be concerned of any CISO that would be 24/7 on email, quite
Because
honestly.
the job has changed in the last few years. Where incidents happen occasionally, now it's just a constant state of low-level warfare.
Yes.
It's just constant things. You're getting things 3 or 4 times a day.
Yes.
That used to be once a quarter or once a year.
Right.
And you to capture that, to analyze it, to deal with it, it's very intense.
Yes.
So you have to have good systems in place.
Absolutely.
That will detect issues, triage issues, escalate issues, that you don't have to respond to every issue that comes up.
Right.
But you have to build a system that does that. And then you need to go on vacation for 2 weeks.
Yes.
You need to go home at the end of the day.
Yep.
And, take care of your family, because that's
Excellent.
important.
Yep. Thank you. That great advice. Appreciate that. So let's shift a little bit. Talk about conferences, right? We're sitting here at a conference. Just generally, what brings you to conferences? What value do you find from those? Like, what's just kind of generally
I don't know how true this is, but I remember when I was younger, I heard somebody say that in IT, everything you know is obsolete in 18 months. So I don't know how you do this job if you don't come to conferences and listen to what's new. You hear something that affected someone else that may affect you.
Yep.
You hear of a solution, a new solution. So yeah, I have always been a fan of coming to conferences. I think 2 of my people in my small team are here.
Love it.
And
So you encourage it as well.
Yeah, because how else are you gonna keep up with new things?
Right. Love it. And then we're here at Secure Miami, which, by the way, earlier, great. You're a customer at Digital Era Group. Appreciate that shout out. So have you been coming to Secure Miami for years now?
No, this is my second time.
Second time?
Yeah, it's the problem with local conferences. You always leave it until it's too late, and then you remember, it's tomorrow. If it was across the country, you'd plan and
of course
make a booking, but it's down the road. You figure like, no problem, I'll be there, and then you realize, it was yesterday.
Oh yeah. But so anything specific about Secure Miami? I think one of the folks I talked to today said it makes a big difference to them that it is local, that it is in their backyard.
We have a local CISO group that meets every other month, and it's good to see some of them here and just to touch base.
Love it.
It's good to have that team that you can call on if something's happening. You want to know, hey, how do you guys deal with that?
Right.
Or just to get, what did you ever see this?
Right.
It's good to have that kind of resources locally.
Love it. All right. So let's shift a little bit into leadership. We, again, talking before the episode, developing new talent. It's a tried and true, long term. We have this issue. I'm seeing a trend where companies are not necessarily doing it. Now, when we talked, you said you're an advocate. So talk to me through what are you doing to develop new talent? How do you approach that?
Well, before you even get to that point, it's an issue that I don't know how we're going to solve it, but it's been getting worse. It's attracting qualified people to begin with. That is getting more and more difficult. And I dread when somebody leaves because it's such a difficult thing to find good talent. When you get good talent, you have to challenge them. You have to keep them interested, give them interesting projects to work on, and just treat people like people.
Right.
I mean, people are just like you. You know, if somebody's kid is sick, hey, you got to take care of your
You
kid.
got it. Yeah.
All right.
So any techniques around, do you guys have a pipeline, or how do you approach, entry level talent?
So we would prefer to get someone, say, from a service desk organization.
Absolutely.
And then encourage them, if they're interested in security, encourage them to get some certifications.
Right.
Because it's really, we operate at a pretty intense level, pretty advanced level.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of slots for people that need handholding.
Right.
We all work from home. So to be a self-starter is really important to your success.
Yeah.
So we look for people that know the environment, know technology, have a connection with security, either through some certifications or formal training. And that's the kind of person that we focus on recruiting.
Love it. And so we touched a little bit on the retention. I think we did talk about the idea of, you got good folks, you got to let them have their path, right? Mm-hmm. And even though it can be tough, it can be, a setback for your organization, that in the end, you're doing the right thing, right? But as far as trying to retain those folks, right? Keep it interesting, keep it good, but
treat people fairly.
Treat people fairly, right?
That's
I love the sound bite. So treat people fairly. I love it. Okay. Well, we're coming up to
everybody's not going to agree with you. Everybody's not going to think you're great. And that's not what you're running for. Okay.
Right.
You're just trying to do your best in every situation that comes in front of you. You're just trying to do your best. Sometimes you'll get it wrong.
Right.
Sometimes you won't, but that's all you can do.
Well, I think we own our mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And in the end, we just, okay, chalk that one up and learn from it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Love it. All right, gang. Well, great conversation so far with Edison, but we've got to 10 questions now. So Edison hasn't been exposed only to but maybe one question, which is okay. We love to, I told him this is like a Rorschach test but with words, but so we'll get started. So we have 10 questions with Edison Humphries from MasTec. All right. What's your favorite word?
Word. Just normal word?
Just a word.
Wow. I don't know that I have a favorite word.
What's a word that you like then?
Why am I having difficulty with that question?
I love it.
That shouldn't be a difficult question. I don't know. Articulate?
Love it. Love it. I like that. What's your least favorite word?
I can't do it.
Can't. Yeah. Yeah. We get a lot of those.
Yeah, I can't.
What area of your work do you find most interesting?
Dealing with my peer group, like other people, other department heads.
Yep.
That's the most challenging part.
But you like the challenge?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because the next question is, what part of your work do you find most challenging?
Dealing with your boss is challenging because it's such a consequential relationship.
Right. Gotcha. What sound?
I happen to have a good boss, by the way.
Yes. No.
It's just
I understand.
It's just a relationship. You always got to keep it in the back of your mind.
Yes.
This is one of those consequential relationships.
Absolutely. And it is the consequential relationship, if anything, right?
Yeah.
Because in the end, they decide whether you're there or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. What sound or noise do you love?
My daughter laughing.
Yeah. Love that. What sound or noise do you hate?
My daughter being upset at me.
Seems like your daughter has a special place.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we talked a little bit, soon to be graduate.
She's graduating this year from UCF.
And what degree?
Education.
Love it. And does she have career plans?
Yes, she wants to go into teaching.
Love it. I have a teacher. One of my daughters is a teacher, so love that. Love it. From that to this, what's your favorite curse word?
Crap.
Okay, got it. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Attempt.
Attempt.
Okay, I thought you were going to ask me if I wish I had.
No, or that too, if you wish you had.
I wish I was it's going to sound very weird, but I wish I was an Air France pilot.
Love it.
Flying 777s around the world.
That's very specific.
Because they have some very interesting destinations.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Love it. As one of the most specific ones we've ever had. I love it. What profession would you not like to do?
Coal miner.
Coal miner?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that. All right, final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear your God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You did okay. You made your mom proud.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right, guys. Edison Humphries, Vice President and CISO of MasTec, thank you today for being on the show. We truly appreciate it. Learned a lot. We covered today basically a little bit about leadership, how we attract and retain talent, making sure we get that pipeline. I'm a firm believer in making sure that you get it from the help desk or the service desk, whichever you want to call it. Those are some very valuable resources. I think that's a I don't know if people just don't understand it or don't get it, but my gosh, I mean, it's so valuable. I've had multiple people come from the service desk. Also talked about conferences, what do we get out of them, all that good stuff. But in the end, colleagues and friends, I renew the call. It's time to professionalize the role of the CISO. And so until next time, I wish you health, happiness, and success on your journey in becoming the professional CISO. Let's do this.
We're professionalizing the CISO role, so please subscribe to the Professional CISO Podcast.